Hey, welcome back to Our American Travel. We are in the process right now of planning our first summer trip. We're actually going to plan to take 2 shorter ones this time instead of 1 big long one like we did last summer. And we're going to show you how we plan our trip. Or actually, my husband's going to show you because he truly does all the work. And all I do is disagree with him to make him mad. So you've probably heard of a lot of apps to plan trips. There's RV Trip Wizard, The Dirt. You've got Harvest Hosts, you've got all the different campgrounds, you've got Good Sam. My husband plans our trip using RV Parky. So today he's going to actually show you step by step how he planned our first summer trip, the longer of 2. And I also want to caution you that you may be too late to plan your trip. We may be too late because if you want a specific campground at a specific place, a lot of them book out way in advance. So, you know, that's just something to think about. You probably should have already started if you want that beach state park at a great price, or like we were thinking about going to the Charleston KOA, that's the nicer one, and it's probably already booked. So start now, start planning now. I hope you enjoy this video. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe. We always appreciate that.
So we're going to show you how we use RV Parky as the main app we use. We talked about it a while ago. Now I have a couple other apps pulled up as well that we're going to show you, like Google Maps. I think a lot of people use Google Maps for something. And then Good Sam, KOA, maybe recreation.gov if we don't find what we need in RV Parky. So when we set up a new trip, we can click on new trip, but here I've already started this one called the Summer of 2022. So I'm just going to click on Summer of 2022, and we've started in Jonesboro, Arkansas. So I want to add a stop. Our first stop, we think this year, we're headed to Kentucky, and we're going to go see the Mammoth Cave that we've never been to, the national park there. And so in RV Parky, if I just click add a stop, then I could type in if I know the city or the general location, or in this case, I'm going to just try Mammoth Cave National Park, or I'll just type in Mammoth Cave and we'll see what happens. Yeah, it says Mammoth Cave, Kentucky, so I'm sure that's close enough, and then we'll find a place to stay there in a minute. I'll come back and find some place to stay. We're just going to kind of build our trip first. That's usually how I do it. We're going to add another stop. This next stop, we're going to go to the Noah's Ark Encounter or Experience, which is also in Kentucky. I think that's in Williamston, Kentucky, and I can verify that. If I go over to Google Maps and just type in Ark Encounter and bring it up, it takes me to Williamston, Kentucky. So there's Williamstown, Kentucky, not Williamston. But so I'll just go back to RV Parky and I'll type in Williamstown, Kentucky. If I could spell it would be good. Teacher, you know, do a lot of good spelling, and so there we are in Williamstown, Kentucky, and then we're going to head from there to Wyethville, Virginia, which is a place we kind of picked. We know that that's on the way to where we're going in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is where our daughter lives in that area. So Wyethville, Kentucky's in that area, is kind of halfway in between. And again, we could did I say Wyethville, Kentucky? I meant to say Wyethville, Virginia, because we come down out of Kentucky through West Virginia into Virginia, so I'm kind of lost here. But that's the reason I have RV Parky, and you need it too to help you not be lost all the time. So once we head down, we're going to just spend a night there in Wyethville. We're going to head on to Raleigh, North Carolina. Our daughter again and grandson, son-in-law live in that area. And we're going to choose Raleigh, North Carolina, and it finds Raleigh, North Carolina. That's 193 miles. If we go up and look, you'll see that it's the first leg is 334, then 175, then 342, then 193. I meant to say that as I was going, but you can kind of see what we try to stay kind of under 350 miles, and we've been able to do that. And then we're going to add a stop. We're going to kind of head back towards Arkansas at this point. And we've kind of picked Sevierville, you know, through looking at Google Maps, Sevierville, Tennessee, I believe. I'll try to get the state right this time. And when I click that, it says it can't find it at first, and then it finds it. is 336 miles. So we know that's a pretty good location, Sevierville, Tennessee. And I'm going to add one more stop on the way to Jonesboro, and that'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of Dixon, Tennessee. And then we'll be able to make it on in to Jonesboro with the next stop. And so then I'll add a stop. I think there may even be a way to return to where you started, but I'm not sure about that. I'll have to do a little bit more research on that. But so Jonesboro, Arkansas is where we're headed back to. And you can see that next day is going to be 245 miles. So we got 249, 245. Now, we got to kind of decide how many days we want to stay at each place and have to put that in there. I really didn't. We have kind of talked about staying about 3 days at Mammoth Cave, 1 day to kind of get in and 1 day to really see the place, and maybe 2 days to see the place. And then we'll head towards the Ark Encounter the next day. It's only 175 miles, so we're going to stay a couple of days there. And then we're going to go through Wyethville and probably only stay 1 day. It's kind of an overnighter there. We might pass through Mount Airy, Virginia, and take some footage of good old Mayberry. Why do I always say Virginia or Kentucky when I know it's in North Carolina? Everybody knows Andy Taylor, good old Andy from North Carolina, and Mount Airy was his home, and that's of course where the show was based on. So we're going to maybe stop through there if we can, if we've got time. And then it's only 193 miles into Raleigh, North Carolina. Now we're going to spend probably 5 or 6 days there, so I'm going to choose 6. And after 6 nights, we're going to head out, spend a night in Sevierville, a night in Dixon, and then of course back in Jonesboro. We're going to spend a bunch of nights there maybe. So anyway, that's kind of how we do the big picture. What I want to talk to you about, a couple of things here. Number one, you see over here on the map, it kind of lays out the route here, and the route looks pretty circular, kind of, and it tells you where each stop is. And then at the bottom down here, it says the distance is 1,874 miles. Obviously, we may travel a little bit more than that. And I've got 14 nights, according to this, 29 hours of driving time. Sounds like a lot of driving, 14 days, but that's only 2 hours a day if you think about it. Or 2.5 hours a day. Although some of these days are pretty good days of driving, some days not too bad. And I put in about 11 miles per gallon in my F-150, pulling, almost 5,000 pounds. And that's 11, 12 is what we get. And I put in $3.50 a gallon because right now gas is getting up over $3 a gallon. Now, if you're out in California or if you're in some other states, I'm not picking on California, I just know the gas prices are a little high out there. It may be a little higher than that, but I think for the most part, $3.50 to $4 is what it's going to be. So it's saying in fuel, 170 gallons, $596, so around $600 in fuel. So these trips are getting a little more expensive, so we need to enjoy them. And now, one of the things that we would do next is we'd go back and look for some places to stay. Well, now that we've got our trip kind of planned, the circular route on the screen here, you can kind of see it and make it smaller or bigger. And I'm messing up my screen now. Now that was goofy. So anyway, you can see it's kind of a nice little circular route, and this thing really is kind of sensitive on the screen. By the way, I did not mention that there are iPhone and Android apps for these things, so you can get this same thing on an app. And I could show you on the phone, but we really don't do our planning on the phone. We do our last minute planning on the phone. If we have to find a new place or one of the places we reserved just doesn't work out or whatever, so we do all that on the phone usually. But when I'm planning, I do most all the planning on here on the what's this, a laptop, MacBook, whatever this is. And so that's where we do that. So that's the reason I'm showing it to you on here. So to find a place, we simply go over here and we go find a place to stay, and you can see all these different icons come up. Usually these green ones are like state parks or public parks or Corps of Engineers, and then you can see Love's Truck Stops and Pilot, and some people overnight at places like that. We've not been brave enough to do that yet. There's even Cracker Barrels on here, Walmarts, and then there's some public campgrounds as well. These little yellow ones are public campgrounds. And then over here on the left, they list them out for you. So we're just going to select this first one on the list here and see if we can book a reservation there. I'm just going to select it and say that's where we're going. Now, if that didn't work, I wanted to go back and find a different place, I could go back, and if I wanted to look at that and select it, and I could say book now, and it would take me to a website where I might be able to book that online. If not, it'd give me a phone number where I could call and confirm the reservations. And then there's lots of ways to do that. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just went ahead and selected that one, and then I'm going to again select it, and then I'm going to go down to the next place, find a place to stay in Williamston, Kentucky. And if you go in Williamston, it's a much more remote area. There's some Northern Kentucky RV Park, the Kincaid Lake State Park's pretty far off. Might have to zoom in here a little bit to find some place, or zoom out to find a place. In fact, we had looked at a place and I can't really find it right now. It's something called the General Butler State Park. So I'm going to just type that in. General Butler State Park. And there it is, the General Butler State Park. And so we're just going to add that to the trip, and we're just going to select it for that stop. And then we're going to go on down to Wyethville, Virginia. And I think there's a KOA in Wyethville. We'll probably be coming in there semi-late, so we're just going to select that KOA. And there it is, the Wyethville KOA. I'm just going to select it. And then if I come on down to Raleigh, find a place to stay. There's kind of a cool thing there. The state fairgrounds is in Raleigh, North Carolina, which is the state capital, and they have some pretty good places to stay there during the year when the fair is not going on. Of course, the fair, all the horse trailers and all that use that, pull in there for a couple of weeks, and so they've got full hookups there, pretty reasonable. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some of those this summer. So we're going to plan on selecting that. And then when we come on down to Sevierville, we're going to find a place to stay. And Sevierville, we're just going to pick this first one on the list here and try to see if we can book that. If not, we'll have to do a little more work. And again, when we do a little more work, we may have to go look at Good Sam's. That's one that we use, and we would just put in Sevierville and look what they got there. Or we might go to KOA and see what they've got in that area. Of course, KOA comes up on the RV Parky as well. So we're going to just choose this first one here, the River Plantation. It looks like it's got really good ratings out of 34 reviews, so we're just going to select that. And then we come on down to Dixon, Tennessee, and find a place to stay. I think there's some state parks in the area. I think we said that we were going to use the. I guess I might talk a little louder because our heat just came on. We're going to use a state park here in Montgomery Bell State Park, and that's pretty much it. So now we have something selected. Now we got to go kind of confirm each one of these that we can book it. We could do it right in the app here. We can say book now, or the other thing we can do is just go to their specific website, which comes up as well, and either call them or book them through there. And again, we use some of those other apps to help us. So I hope this helps you in some of your planning. RV Parky, again, there's a bunch of other apps. If you guys use something different and love it, just let us know that in the comments.
Hey, thanks again for watching our video. We're really excited. We've been camping in our RPOD all for like 6 months, but we're ready to take her on the road and go see some things and go visit our family. So we're looking forward to that trip. If you have any comments, what you use, any problems you have, any questions, or any helpful hints for us, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave a comment below. And thanks always for watching.